Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bill and Ray Show. Thanks for stopping by. I'm out here in the torch shop going to make another marble, and we're going to do something that's kind of a crazy chaos effect, some people call it. I used to call it pixie tech. I haven't done it for a little while, but it's nothing new to me. But I'll try and do something a little different in the way I incorporate it. So let's fire up and get going. I've got a, 15 millimeter rod or something here. First thing I need to do is I need some stringers clear. And I'm hoping to do this with kind of a little bit thicker stringer than maybe I typically do for this project. Just kind of clean that up a little bit. And I've got a little small 3 millimeter rod here. or 5 millimeter. I always think it's 3, but it seems really small. Grab a hold here. So there's some different ways of pulling out stringers. So I know this is kind of simplistic stuff, but I like to kind of show how I do this once in a while. It's always kind of hard to get off the mark started, because you don't want that attachment point to get real thin. So you start out a little bit, and you kind of get into a rhythm once you get pulling out a little ways. So I'm trying to go a little thick with this stringer. And I need quite a bit of it. Since we kind of stretched out here a ways, get out of the flame, and kind of keep pulling, about as far as I can reach. And we have this nice long piece of stringer. And we'll clean that up. That end's kind of thick. I'm going to reattach here. See if we can do this a little smoother this time. I haven't done a whole lot of glass work yet today, so the first few operations are always a little sketchy. So this is a pretty thick rod to be pulling a stringer out of. So once I come out of the heat, I can go quite a ways. Keep pulling. And we'll do another one. So most of the times I'm doing this, I'm always trying to heat what I would call the shoulder, just the transition area where it's up on the thick side of the supply or the feed rod. But this rod is thick enough that it holds quite a bit of heat, so I can come out of that fire and keep pulling. Anyway, that's some stringer we want to start with. So normally, when I've done this before, I've always kind of built it up off the end of my main construction rod, but today I'm going to shake that up a little bit and do it off the end of a smaller rod. I think this is what is this, 11 millimeter maybe? And I need to make a flattened end here. So this is just a holder, just something to hang on to do the next step. Oops. That torch is pretty touchy. I really need to do a little work on it. Okay. I'm going to trim these off. These things all have kind of a thick end on them. Oops. It disappeared. All right. So this is kind of a cage and fume then collapse process. So I'm going to use this as an attachment point. I said attachment point. Okay, so I've done this, most times I do this, I just kind of, for some reason, stuck on 5 ribs. I don't know if this is ribs or what you call them. Starting point. I'll go around and connect them all together out here on the tip. We're going to work on filling it in. That's why we need a bunch of these stringers. whole crazy cage up. I'm going to come back here and spiral some glass on. I know I did marble like this using this technique somewhere along the line, but I must have been a while back because I didn't find it very easily. Shoot. Oops. Like I say, that's why I need lots of stringers. Okay, something like that. We got our whole cage, now it's all crinkly, crackly. So I'm trying to warm this up. Well, it starts moving around a little bit. That tells you it's pretty warm. Now, going to do some gold fume. It's a little crazy fuming onto such an open structure, but that's what we're going to do. Okay, that was pretty well behaved. So then we're going to back that up with some silver. And then the next phase is really kind of the whole critical phase of this operation. My attachment point is all getting loose, crackly there. Let's see, I'm missing a tool here. I'll use this. So some of this fume is burning off. That's why I kind of put down a lot of fume and put down that silver. Some of that silver is going to burn off. And this is definitely where you can see chaos. And now we're going to condense this down. And we're going to kind of heat from the outside end of it back into it. Now, like I say, when I've done this before, every time I've done this before, the rod I'm holding in my left hand would be my main rod that I just kept working with. But the issue that gets into is you come down to this stage and you've got quite a bit of mass that seems to condense out pretty well without any bubbles in it. But you get down to this attachment area and it's hard to get all that air to escape. So we're going to do a little bit of a reversal action. Of course, this time it's all collapsing very well without trapping air, I think, but there's some at this stage. So I'm going to stop here, let this solidify. So I've got a minute here waiting for this to cool down. I always use a cheap wire brush to scrub the face of the torches around and around, different angles. Don't do it while your torch is on. Like every time I use the torch, do that bit of cleaning. I think it really will help your torch. I see people selling their used torch, and it's like, did you ever clean it? I think I'm not sure where we saw it. Probably in the clean room when I worked at Rocket Research. There was a sign up that said keep a clean tool. A lot of jokes were made about that, but okay, so I'm pulling off this piece. I'm supposed to set this. Now I'm going to just clean up and pull out this glass on this end. And we're going to kind of clean this up. So the idea was to clean up any bubbles and stuff that are kind of making a mess on this end. Some stuff is a little hard to identify. I think that's a bubble. And I don't want to lose too much of my lovely effects here. Okay. Oh, there's more bubbles back in there. And we can kind of let this heat up and let the bubbles rise up. Yes, my quest for removing bubbles is going to reduce my pattern here. Okay, well, this is what I wanted to do, is to try and, maybe some little bitty guys still left in there, but we're going to leave that alone. We're going to put that into our little garage here. And we're going to prep our larger rod that we're going to build the rest from. Oops. That's one way to clean off the end of your cut rod, just let it blow off. Back when I was working soft glass, it was always like introduce the glass down and away, because it always pops and shatters out away from it in the front. Just don't panic. Today's sponsor for our video. We got a coffee cup full of marbles. But our sponsor is Epicwater filters. Use a water filter to make good coffee. There's a link in the description below where you can go to their site and check out their products. We've just got the pitcher in our refrigerator. Clean up our well water and make sure it's free of any runoff chemicals from fields around us and up above. As well as any bacterial, because it's not chlorinated water that we get out of our well. We don't treat it in any way. It's pretty clean water, but having a water filter can give you assurance that you've got really clean water. So check it out. Help support the channel. Okay, we'll just get a little base going. Rolling that till it stops looking like it's falling. And then when I pull this out of here, since that's all I'm going to do with this right now, I'll turn it off. Okay, now we got to marry these up. So when you're going to join two pieces like this, you want to get them both pretty screaming hot. I'll switch cameras. Okay, touch down and don't push. Try and do this step very gently, very slowly. Try and direct some heat just right along that seam. Then we'll use a little bit of pressure to try and coax this to a wider end. We'll knock free our punty here. Now we're just kind of putting this together and assessing assessing where we're at. I'm going to get this to condense up. We're still going to wind up with a couple little bubbles. That's okay. It's the idea. Okay, then we are going to try and adjust the shape. Trying to walk this down into a cone. So I'm trying to do this in little steps where it won't make a torque on it and it won't twist it necessarily. All right, I'm going to do some background with some blue spruce frit. After we let that cool down for a moment, get the core temperature down, now we want to heat that outer layer of glass hot enough to stick. I think we got the covering that I wanted. Just a little bit. Sharpen that point a little bit. Alrighty. Now this has to cool down a little bit, and our next thing is going to be to gold fume. The blue spruce will make a nice pretty background. Yeah, that doesn't work. See if we can get this guy to work. And this, if I do this right, we get a nice reflective gold fume in the background. Alrighty. Let's see. Clean up frit. All right, we got some jet black. Well, there's a fair bit of torque and pressure laying this down. Alright, and I've got a stringer of black. I'm playing around with this little different way of filling in this background. And I do want to seal as much of that gold fume as I can. It will make a really pretty background. Okay, let's see where we're at. I don't usually worry too much about bubbles in this layer, but I see some that are obvious. It's kind of worth popping them. And that black really blows out the camera. And I'm kind of pulling this, dragging it out, so I don't need the thickness. Kind of smearing it. Fill in any little voids. Hey, cool. We're making progress. I'm going to do some silver fume on the back side. Okay. Let's see. Before I get going on that, let's have another sip of coffee. Okay. This is the chill zone. Glass work is the chill zone. You're just going to try and be one with the glass, be kind of zen about it. Breathe. Well, I hope you all are doing well. I appreciate anybody watching these videos and chilling out. Enjoy some content that's free of AI. You don't have to wonder whether this is computer generated or or not. This is me at the torch doing my thing. I appreciate anybody coming along for the ride. I ran across a channel on YouTube the other day that has only been up since early December maybe or something. They're like millions of views, and it's all just AI generated. I don't know, the comments, people seem to like it. I don't know how many people watching it understood that this was all generated with AI. I'm kind of disappointed with how many things are out there that are, and it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say in the title, doesn't say in the description. It's supposed to. It's supposed to declare that it's using AI content. So there's another example of a channel that's making lots of money with virtually no effort. Different strokes for different folks. So I lay this down and kind of squeeze it into the crevice from the last pass, and then bring it back up. Kind of pull away from that attachment zone. I always attribute this technique to Lewis Wilson. Kind of squeeze this down and away from the edge. It'll be pretty thin on that edge. And down to the point. I may have made an error there and covered up that point. Oh well, I tried. Well, you don't want to really cover that very end with clear, which causes issues. Got some abused glass there. Well, anytime you have little things that, might be considered, okay, well, that was a mistake, or it wasn't quite done perfectly. To me, this is handcrafted art. People that expect perfection, it's like, well, that's not me. I'm only human. I make little mistakes, little things that I can observe and know that could have done that better. But we want to keep a positive attitude. We want to keep putting intentional kindness and gratitude and all these kind of good thoughts into our glass work. So if you see the fingerprints of the artist in the artwork, it's like, well, that's because a human did it, and that's the way it rolls. Not sure if I need more than that. Maybe just a little bit. The stick was getting kind of short. One thing I always, I'm wearing headphones. I've got some chill music going on. Everybody's got their own favorite thing, but this is like electronic, no vocals. Kind of like that type of music for doing glass work. And the headphones, they help cut out the ambient sound of the torch and the ventilation system. The audio that you get in the video at this point is processed quite a bit to try and pick up my voice and cut out as much external noise as I can. So at this point, we're just trying to get this glass to create a natural, rounded out form. Just let rotation, gravity, heat work on the shape. When a glass gets wibbly wobbly and hard to control, rotating and keeping it from going too wonky before it starts really kind of smoothing out. It's very viscous. Okay, once again, we're going to let that settle down for a moment. Okay, backside colors. Start with some butterscotch. And this first line, we kind of use this kind of as a dividing line and kind of try and heal up that edge. Break away and give myself room for two more colors. And just spiral this on. Alright, that's butterscotch. And then we've got some mist, aqua mist. A very pale blue-green. And getting pretty warm already. This is late January in 2026 in Montana, and we've had very mild weather. And at the moment, our weather forecast is going to get even more mild for a few days. We had maybe 2 inches of snow on the ground in, I think, early December. I haven't had any snow this winter. Okay, well, I've got these lines going with a little clear gap between them for the most part. It's kind of neither here nor there, but it's going to create a little bit more of an open feather. Okay, try and melt these lines in. A lot of steps like this where it looks like, well, it's all melted in, right? Well, let me make sure that it is fully melted in. That should be pretty good. Okay, now let's see if we can keep this under control. So this process is always kind of a trick, getting the torch set to a certain heat, but minimal force. I'm trying to get the right rhythm of moving around with the pick. Even I'm holding the very end of this pick, but this handle is getting really hot. I need to get out a new tungsten rod because this is getting too crazy hot. Squish that in, hold that very tip from the tip back a little bit. And that went pretty smooth. So I'm kind of juggling a little bit here. I've got an order I'm working on. It's taken up a good bit of my time. Trying to still do these marble videos, but you know, today I make the marble, recording it, start processing the video right after this. Takes a good bit of the next day to take pictures and video of the finished marble and keep working on it. Tomorrow afternoon we're going to a movie. Going out to the movies, big trip to town. And there's just no stop. I'll be out here torching Sunday for sure. We'll see how Saturday goes, how soon I can finish uploading the video. It's good to be busy. Okay, that's getting pretty nice shape there. So we'll do our first punty. Pretty solid attachment. Now this glass out here in the front has got a lot of fume flowing onto it. So I'll try and burn that out. So we're building up the front lens now. condense quite a bit of glass into this. Clear glass melts fairly rapidly. And that process also expands that circumference between the clear side and the colored side. Okay, also looks like a pretty good glob of glass. Got to a roll-off cutter. Okay, let this fall back a little bit, this pointy end. So then we're going to skim off a layer of glass and try and minimize the optical contaminants. Yeah, hot glass. Okay, come back around to the beginning and feather out this end point. It's going to make a little mess here. So the skimming process, you just really heat it up to white hot and just kind of go at a low angle and scrape that glass out. And you can kind of move up the face here. I guess in metalwork you'd consider this like scale. Molten metal being heated. You have a surface layer that's, in case of metal, it's oxidized, or there's elements that have floated up to the surface. But you can see it in the flame. You can see the surface doesn't look right. So we try and get rid of some of that. We've got it tipped up. Trying to get that glass to fall back. Alright, getting this whole thing nice and toasty. Come into our oversized mold. Chew it up a little with the Hellmiser. So kind of process of trying to squeeze the ends together. Move from a pill shape to a sphere. Coming together pretty good. Alright, time to switch punties. Lots of clouds of effects in there. It's looking good. A combination of the gold fume with some silver. You get an array of colors. And just burn off this other punty. Keep spinning so it don't get too wonky. I don't know why there's one spot on that torch face that seems to gather some carbon. One jet is not like the others. Okay, then dealing with this other end, because this is the vortex tip, when we first go into the marble mold, we don't want to disturb that too much. So we kind of come in here level, start pushing it together, and leave that little bump out at the end. Little subtle things like that can make a difference in how well your vortex turns out. then we're just going to have to apply some heat and get that to pull together. So then we'll go in here and start the back. We'll just go ahead and roll it all the way through. We're getting pretty close to our full shape. So now I'm actually using a fair bit of force, torque, squeeze this marble into the mold. It's much bigger than the mold, so it's just running around on the rim. Came together pretty good, so we're giving it some heat. Then we're going to come in here and just kind of spin this up. And we're going to just let it lose some heat. So when you get close to just dealing with the surface, you don't really want the core to have much heat to it. You don't want it to be moving. Okay, once this is spinning nicely in the marble mold, it's cooled down a bit. Now we're looking to flame polish. So we're going to do some pretty intense, slow heating. We're not going to do any fast spinning or anything erratic. Just going to heat that surface and then just let it chill. But keep rotating. Don't ever stop rotating. Unless you're doing something you're trying to get things to go wonky. Yeah, that blue spruce will be pretty in the background. Yeah, we managed to get a lot of chaos in there. And like I say, I called this stuff Pixie Tech for a long time. And I made pixie orbs. This is like the one that cracked and hit the bench. I may make these ornaments with an internal structure. I call those pixie orbs. See that last punky attachment kind of wimpy. Anytime you have a wimpy attachment, you want to be careful. Don't bump into anything. So where that punky was attached, we want to pull out any of that dissimilar glass. The whole marble is formed pretty well. It's just that very front face. So I'm trying to kind of throw that right face first into the fire. And then heat back on this rim. So when we go in the marble mold, we're going to start at the very back side. I'm going to drop in here gently. And try and avoid any back and forth spinning. Let's just spin the same direction until it's not going to reverse directions, but after it's cooled down there. So that should have gotten the shape pretty well defined. Now it's just basically flame polish that front face. It's got some wiggles in it. But instead of using the mold, the best thing is just use heat. Pretty hot and let it cool down. These cycles, you get it really hot and let it cool down. The wrinkles, whatever is in the surface, will start flattening out. You can think of it as when you paint, self-leveling paint, you see the brush strokes, then over a little bit of time it settles down. This is somewhat akin to that idea. And of course I'm looking at reflections, I'm looking at the what I'm seeing transmitted through the clear glass. Make sure nothing is wobbling around. That should do it. I always kind of hate to discover some boo-boo at this step, because anything you mess with now, of course, it kind of sets you back. You got to go through some steps again to get it cleaned up and get everything back on track, but I think we're doing good. It's looking good. I like it. So once this kind of cools down to where it's not glowing, screaming hot, little tweezers right here, and try and show that connection. And keep a gentle little knocking off there. That's looking good. Well, this marble went a little quicker than some. Don't want to hit it with wet tweezers. So yeah, that's a good one. Another successful day out at the torch. Feeling pretty chill. Get this this into the nice toasty kiln and go through an annealing cycle overnight. We'll find out tomorrow what we did. So thank you all for hanging out, watching any of these videos. If you're still here, take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Enjoy life. Blessings to you all. We'll see you again on another adventure, another day. Take care.